Hi, Maya, and welcome.
Hi.
Thank you very much for making the time today. We're very excited to learn more about what you're doing in AUC's newly launched Active Learning Classrooms. I'm going to hand it over to you. Please introduce yourself. Let us know a little bit about you, what you teach, where you are at the university, and then go ahead and tell us what you'd like to share with us today around active learning, the projects, the activities, and the engaging, innovative strategies you're using in the classroom.
Okay. Hi, Huda, and thank you for giving me this opportunity. My name is Maya Nicholas, and I am an assistant professor at the Institute of Global Health and Human Ecology. I also work with the core curriculum. I am the coordinator of the scientific thinking course. So I've been teaching in the active learning classroom for many semesters now, and I have to say that this is one of the best experiences I had since I joined AUC. Today, I will discuss two examples where the active learning classroom was very, very beneficial to me and to the students as well. So, the first example that I'd like to talk about is an ethical debate that I conducted in class. And basically, I used what we call the dancing walls to separate the class into two parts and to allow students to write down their ideas on the wall. So the debate started by a general introduction that took 10 to 15 minutes, where we talked about the topic. In our case, it was surrogacy. So students did a little bit of research about the topic prior to coming to class, and we shared the etiquette of conducting a debate. After that, I asked the students to choose what side of the debate they're on, whether they are pro or they're against. And I'd say it was kind of 50-50 split. So it made my, way of managing the debate much easier. The students were then given around 20 minutes to write down all the ideas, all the arguments and examples on each side of the dancing wall. And after that, we brought the two sides of the wall together, and students sat in a semicircle, and basically the debate started. So each group had one student volunteering to discuss a point, and then there was, an argument from the side, a counter argument from the other side, and this is how the session continued. What I liked about running a debate in the active learning classroom is the very engaging way by using the dancing walls. All the students had access to all ideas that were shared, so it was very easy for them to follow and check what the other group wrote. And the moving chair made it very, very easy because even within each group, you had different clusters of students talking to each other and discussing, with each other. So I've run this debate before in a traditional classroom, and I can clearly say that the engagement level was significantly, higher. I received very good feedback, I have to say, from the students. So that was it for the debate.
They're doing a lot of work together in small groups or teams, writing down their thoughts, their ideas, preparing in class for the debate. But what kind of preparation do they do before the debate? Do you require them to do any preparation before?
Before the class, I asked them to choose between two topics. They're both controversial. One was about designer babies, and the other one was about surrogacy. And it was a kind of a voting system. So I told them we will not have enough time to discuss both topics, so we'll have to vote. The majority voted for surrogacy. Then I asked them to research at home, to read articles about the topic, to familiarize themselves with the technical aspects and maybe some ethical arguments that were raised by the community. So this will guide them towards what side they feel they belong to. Now in class, students were there was a total freedom to students to choose what side they're in. And interestingly, what I noticed is that a couple of students, they came to class having in mind that we are, for example, pro, let's say, surrogacy. But then after discussion and after the arguments that were presented, they mentioned that now we have mixed opinions, and that's the whole purpose of the debate. Sometimes there are a lot of topics that black and white don't really exist. These are like the gray topics where both sides are presenting valid arguments.
I know you have a very good example of a project just like that. And that's why I wanted you to share it with even more faculty who could possibly learn, emulate it, pick up on some of the ways in which you designed the project, how you ran the project with the students, the feedback from other faculty, how you got faculty to buy into it, all of that.
Yeah, so I'd like to talk about the final project of scientific thinking for this semester. It's a collaboration between scientific thinking and the UNDP Accelerator Lab. So as you know, scientific thinking is the biggest multi-section course in AUC, and the trend in the past used to be that each faculty would design his or her own final project for their class. So this semester we tried to unify the final project experience, and to some extent we managed to do so. So by collaborating with the UNDP Accelerator Lab, we conducted a citizen science experiment that immersed students in experiential learning, while at the same time bringing awareness to them about sustainable development goals. Before describing the project, I'd like to explain what is citizen science and how does it connect with scientific thinking. So citizen science experiments or projects usually are projects that include, students or citizen scientists that basically observe things around them. They collect data from their daily life. They reflect, they come up with explanation, and they form hypotheses. And this approach is very important for problem-solving skills and the critical thinking, because the students will be not only collecting data, but analyzing data and making meaningful conclusions from their data. Now, the most important aspect to me from this kind of project is to basically develop a deep appreciation for the environment. And the students will not only benefit, I would say, at individual level, but they will also trigger the community around them to have this environmental consciousness and responsibility. In this project, we focused on SDG 6, which basically states that it ensures the availability and sustainable management of water and sanitation for everyone. And the reason we chose water conservation is because we know Egypt it is a country that has a pressing need, and there's a huge challenge given the high population that relies on the Nile River for fresh water. So what we tried to do in this project is to pinpoint and highlight how misusage of water, let's say in our everyday habits, can have a big impact. So the first step was to allow me to share my screen. Basically, the project was divided into different milestones, and students were guided weekly or bi-weekly, to make sure that the milestones are achieved. The experiment or the project lasts around 6 weeks of the semester. At the beginning, the students were asked to record, the water usage regarding different daily activities, such as showering, flushing the toilet, washing hands. So these are things that are very basic. This phase 1 happened over a period of 5 days. And then students under rationing behavior, they did the exact same thing. So for another week, they were asked to do the collection of the data. So what we did here is we designed a data registry. We created this Google form to allow students to register their data. Basically, students had to use very basic, non-sophisticated tools, such as a timer or maybe their mobile phone, to record the time they spend on specific activities. And then they were asked to calculate what is the volume they needed in order to accomplish this activity. We provided them with the average water flow for each activity. You can see this is very basic. It has basic information at the beginning. And then students had to specify whether they're doing this activity at home, in the dorm, on campus, in a restaurant, etc. And you can see that for each activity, we specified the amount of water spent per minute. Okay, so students only had to do the calculation and submit this file. The interesting part is that after collecting data over 2 phases, the students have access to the Excel sheet. But the nice part about the project is that we have 350 students participating. In the past, whenever we used to do a project in scientific thinking and you would ask students to conduct an experiment, one of the main challenges used to be the sample size is extremely small. Now we managed to gather 350 students collecting the exact same data using the same data registry. And when it comes to analysis, every single student will have access to all these numbers. And I'm going to show you an example of how the Excel sheet looks like. All right, here is an Excel sheet that every single student participating in the project will have access to. So the next step after collecting the data is that each student will focus on a variable of interest, on something that drew their attention. For example, one student may compare the behavior of flushing the toilet at home compared to flushing the toilet in a restaurant or on campus. So can they draw any conclusions from the data of students different at home versus on campus? Or for example, another student may compare different areas in Cairo, whether there is a trend in water behavior that differs across regions. Or maybe another student would focus on the average volume of water spent on a specific activity under normal behavior versus rationing behavior. So each student must pick only one variable to focus on. So the next step is one of the most important steps, which is communicating the data to the audience. And we chose to ask students to communicate the data in the form of a scientific article. The reason we chose scientific article because one of the main missions of scientific thinking is to promote scientific literacy and to set a strong foundation for students to become a lifelong learner and to become articulate at sharing data and decisions. So students are going to work in groups to deliver a scientific article that talks about, water misconsumption. It's very important to mention that while 350 students are taking the project, obviously not all of them are taking the course in an active learning classroom. The way I use the active learning classroom in this project is by allocating a session to mentor students on the project. Because when students are left to work on their own with a huge data sheet, this could be overwhelming. So in the class, we worked, different groups work together, and together with the TA, we were providing a kind of a mentorship where we help and guide the student on how to do the proper calculations, what parameters or what confounding factors need to be taken into account. And it was more of like brainstorming session to everyone. We also use the different projectors to show everyone at the same time how the calculation is being done. So this made the class management much, much more easier than going to every single student alone and showing them how to do that.
So they're learning what I think us, as you and I as scientists, know is that kind of the not only the etiquette of scientific dialogue and conversations, but that there can be two ways of looking at something, and that we can interpret data often in different ways or see things that other people aren't seeing. And this in itself is a critical thinking skill, right?
Yeah, exactly. And Huda, I'd like to second you on this point. Data is data. The same data is presented to 350 students, but each group will look at the data and draw conclusions completely different from the others, because at the end, you will find something if you look for it.
I have a question for you on what kinds of things did you do to encourage faculty buy-in on aligning on an end of semester project? What kinds of maybe obstacles did you encounter to get to this level of uniformity on a final project?
When the initial discussions happened with the UNDP, I was not sure how many faculty would be interested in joining. Although everyone in scientific thinking was looking for a new and interesting idea for a final project, because for the last few semesters, we've been kind of recycling and repeating same concepts. So the idea is novel. And I think what is powerful about it is involving students in community problems. These are problems that they face, and the data that they are analyzing is their data. It comes from their own behavior at home. So this was a very strong element. Another element that I have to acknowledge the UNDP, they offered a very I would say, interesting incentive. So the top 3 articles that will be, developed by students will have the opportunity to be published on UNDP global website. So this is an amazing opportunity. They get also a certificate from the UNDP that they participated in this project. So a representative from the UNDP and myself, we wrote the project. We have a faculty who developed the data registry. Another faculty developed the rubric, the grading rubric. Another faculty developed the statement that student will sign, kind of consent form if they want their work to be published. So it was a collective effort between many faculty.
I think that's something that's not unique at AUC, but it's important to capture that, working together as faculty on a common kind of goal. These are the kinds of courses and the kinds of activities and projects and problem-solving activities that these active learning classrooms were designed for. So in the future, we as CLT will be encouraging faculty who have these kinds of ideas to make sure as many of the courses that are really using these active learning strategies, really using these problem-solving approaches that involve team-based learning, that involve, collective reasoning in a sense, this kind of seeing everything at the same time. These classrooms were designed especially for these kinds of activities. Do you want to add anything else, like lessons learned, if someone wants to design a similar project?
It just took the experience to a whole new level.
Well, I can tell from your face how passionate and excited you are, Amaya, about all of this. Yeah. And I know the students are probably about to submit their final papers, so maybe we'll do a follow-up next semester and share those top 3 papers, and we can add it to this recording. And you can, for those of you who are watching it, you can come back and see what the students came up with after they submit their final papers. And thank you so much for your time today. I know this is the busiest time of the semester, but thank you very, very much.
Thank you. I'll make sure I make sure to share with you the top 3 articles.
Yes,
Right.
please do, and we'll be sure to add the link to this recording in the spring.
Okay. Thank you very much, Huda.
Excellent. All right.